Welcome back to The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini.
Today we are starting with our opinions on the novel.
Okay, so Olivia, how did you feel?
I really actually liked this book a lot because I really liked how it was like a story from how he grew from like a child to an adult, and I loved how he had the opportunity to kind of like make up for his and Baba's sins.
I liked it too because I read his other book, A Thousand Splendid Suns, last year, and I don't know, I really liked A Thousand Splendid Suns, so I was expecting to really like this book, and it definitely didn't let me
And
down.
A Thousand Splendid Suns ended badly, so I think we were all kind of expecting it to end in a depressing thing. So to end happily was a really nice thing, and to show that people can actually progress he did.
It's really cool to see Amir grow from a tiny kid with Hassan is his best friend struggling not knowing where Hassan fit in his life to where he is now.
And I think it had really relatable morals. Everybody has lied or told lies about things and probably feels guilty. Probably not the same level of guilt, but I think it kind of showed how you can come to terms with your past.
Mm-hmm. And just change in general, his dad passing away and losing the kid he grew up with,
It's never too late.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, I also really liked how you kind of learned more about, the cultural aspect of things, too. I think it was kind of interesting to learn about how, the different Muslim, faith, clash within Afghanistan, and it kind of...
Especially since we talk about it, in religion class. We talk about the different, types of, Islam and stuff, and so, to actually see it, in action and see that, they really don't get along, that's, really a problem.
It's really interesting because it's, in the same thing. But, yeah.
And it, I think it kind of made more sense of, what's been going on in, the world, with the Sunni and the Shiites, why they don't get along. It, gives you, more about, world understanding and a grasp on things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Alright. So now we are going to analyze our speech by a character. And since most of, our book is, more, internal, speaking, we just, chose a part where, he was kind of talking to himself, almost. And so, you want me to read it?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. It was only a smile, nothing more. It didn't make everything all right. It didn't make anything all right. Only a smile. A tiny thing. A leaf in the woods, shaking in the wake of a startled bird's flight. But I'll take it, with open arms. Because when spring comes, it melts the snow one flake at a time. And maybe I just witnessed the first flake melting. I ran, a grown man running with a swarm of screaming children, but I didn't care. I ran with the wind blowing in my face, and a smile as wide as the valley of Pensioner on my lips. I ran.
Okay. So, basically what's happening here is, so they just had a kite fight, and him and Sohrab, who he adopted,
to give some context, Sohrab is Hassan's son, who was when his parents died, he went to an orphanage, and he had gotten him from the orphanage, him being Amir, and so now they're back in America, and they had adopted Sohrab, and Sohrab lives with him and Soraya.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Sohrab, he wasn't he didn't talk, and this is a year after he was brought into America. And he, wouldn't talk because, he tried to kill himself back in Afghanistan, when they were having difficulties on the adoption. And, this is, the first time in, a year that Amir has seen him smile after, him and Sohrab, cut down a kite in the kite fight.
And, after the entire book had been, his, journey with Hassan and everything, it was kind of, his, acceptance of, what has happened in his life and, finally just being okay,
Yeah, I think, the whole, symbolicness of the kite, he was finally, let go, he's free from the, things going off.
And it was kind of, instead of, Hassan running after the kite for Amir, Amir was running after the kite for Hassan's kid. So,
and, with the whole
full circle.
Snow thing, all of his problems just kind of, melting, away, not, so they're not there anymore, but, they don't have the importance, and, they don't have the chokehold on him like that they have in his entire life.
And didn't the rape thing happen in the snow too, like during the winter time? Or am I making that up?
I think you're making that one up.
I feel like
I'm
No,
not
because
sure
they didn't
though.
go to school because there's snow.
Yeah,
They
so
couldn't
that's
go to
what I'm
really?
saying.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like it kind of like it all culminated like the snow was melting, like, and it's kind of like the snow I feel like that had been like in his like heart since like the Hassan thing had happened was like finally like melting away. So like for Sonrab it was like melting away because like he was starting to like come out of his shell, but also for Amir it was like less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So shall we rhetorically analyze it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, like
So-
with all like the style, like with the metaphor of like the snow melting and like
Yeah.
obviously we already talked about that, but
So like that style. The speaker is obviously a mirror. It's in first person. The
Con.
subject is like his like running after the kite after seeing Sorab smile. Like it's Sorab smiling basically, like and how he feels.
and I mean the audience was really anybody reading like the story. Like he wasn't talking to anybody specific. It was just like
Mm-hmm.
explaining what
The
happened.
reader.
Yeah.
I think the tone, like, you can really, like, sense, like, the relief. It was kind of, like, really short,
Yeah.
like, small sentences. Like, I felt like almost as if you were just kind of, like, letting things go as it came.
Almost like you were running and like flying with
Yeah.
the kite. That's what I kind of.
I was thinking, like, almost too, like, you're, like, running and you're, like, breathless, so, like, it's
Yeah.
kind of, like, coming out, like, short.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Pathos. So, yeah, pathos. You kind of like, because we've been on like this journey with Amir throughout the whole book, like you, like, I don't know, I felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, like when, like, he finally, like, I guess, like, he might have, like, finally, like, he kind of, like, accepted, like, I don't know, forgiveness. Like, he kind of, like, forgave himself in that instant.
Yeah, and it's just, like, it's so, like, I don't know, like, peaceful sounding, like, and it kind of even made me, like, tear up a little bit because it was, like, Somra was, like, finally, like, having fun and being, like, getting the childhood that, like, he really deserves, and, like, it's just sad.
Mm-hmm.
Cute. The ending's not sad, but yeah.
All right. And so now we are going to choose a description of the setting and analyze it rhetorically.
Okay.
Somebody else want to read this one?
Okay. If Peshawar was the city that reminded me of what Kabul used to be, then Islamabad was the city Kabul could have become someday. The streets were wider than Peshawar, cleaner, and lined with rows of hibiscus and flame trees. The bazaars were more organized and not nearly as clogged with rickshaws and pedestrians. The architecture was more elegant, more modern, and I saw parks where roses and jasmine blossomed in the shade of the trees. Farid found a small hotel on the side street running along the foot of the Margala Hills. We passed the famous Shah Faisal Mosque on the way there, reputedly the biggest mosque in the world, with its giant concrete grinders and soaring minarets. Somrab perked up at the sight of the mosque, leaned out of the window, and looked until Farid turned the corner. Okay, so, like, the speaker is Amir because, obviously, like, he's recounting it.
Mm-hmm.
Context, this was, like, right after, he had just, like, fought, Asaf to get Sonrab back.
And, like, he, like, just got out of the hospital
Yeah,
or whatever, and
Yeah.
he's leaving.
yeah. The audience for this one is the readers because it's really, like, what's happening internally, so, like, no one else would
Mm-hmm.
know
I mean,
about
this
it.
whole book is mostly
Yeah.
just like the readers, the audience, because like
Like, whoever wants to hear his
Yeah.
story. So,
Tone, it's just the normal tone, like the book's been written in, like, it's descriptive.
but I
Yeah.
mean it's kind of like excited because like
he's finally, like, in a nicer place.
well,
than,
and like seeing the
Kabul and
mosque,
Peshawar.
like Sharab, like he was so like excited, like even like he found him later like in the mosque when like he had like disappeared. So it was like he had found something that was like he was interested in, like happy about after like he had been in an orphanage.
And after he was with like Asaph and being like raped and everything. So Ethos, like
it's his.
I mean, he was
like,
there.
Yeah,
it's his
like
account.
it's his like own account like of what was going on, and like he was like he wasn't like he was in Kabul and Peshawar before Islamabad, so like he like knew what he was talking about when he was comparing them.
Pathos. I don't really think he was really like.
There wasn't,
up to the pathos. I mean, like we're happy that Sarab is like seeing these things, and he's like out of Asif's house. So that's good.
You want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we are going to choose hold on, we just did that. Choose a scene that shows conflict between two characters.
Okay, this is like during his fight with Asaph to free Sorab. Mostly I remember this. His brass knuckles flashing in the afternoon light, how cold they felt with the first few blows, and how quickly they warmed with my blood. Getting thrown against the wall, a nail where a framed picture may have hung once jabbing at my back. Sorab screaming. Tabla, harmonium, a dilroba, getting hurled against the wall. The knuckles shattering my jaw, choking on my own teeth, swallowing them, thinking about all the countless hours I'd spent flossing and brushing. Getting hurled against the wall, lying on the floor, blood from my split upper lip staining the mauve carpet, pain ripping through my belly and wondering when I'd be able to breathe again. The sound of my ribs snapping like the tree branches Hassan and I used to break to sword fight like Sinbad in those old movies. Sorab screaming. The side of my face slamming against the corner of a television stand. That snapping sound again, this time just under my left eye. Music. Sorab screaming. Fingers grasping my hair, pulling my head back, the twinkle of stainless steel. Here they come. That snapping sound yet again. Now my nose. Biting down in pain, noticing how my teeth didn't align like they used to. Getting kicked. Sorab screaming.
Okay, so this was obviously like a conflict between him and Asaph, or Amir and Asaph. And like Asaph was like the one who had raped Hassan, so like he had reappeared like after big chunk of the book. And like obviously Amir is the speaker and we're the audience.
So the repetition of like Sorab screaming, it was like repeated like 3 or 4 times. It was kind of just to like, because like Sorab,
he had experienced it himself so many times, but like to watch somebody else be like beaten, and I think it just has a different effect than it is you.
And it like, because at the end like Sorab ends up like stepping in and like pulling out his slingshot and like shooting Asaph in the eye, so like it kind of like
and I think that like once again really shows how like the foil like it's like the whole like father like son, like Amir was like Baba in the case that like he kind of was like mean to the person who was like his like servant but also his best friend, and like Hassan always saved Amir, like Sorab always saved Amir.
Yeah, and like it's also like because in the beginning, like when there was a conflict, it was like way back when Amir and Hassan were both kids. Hassan, he like during a conflict with Asaph, like Hassan, he said that he would shoot out Asaph's eye with a slingshot if he didn't like go away, and like he did, and like Sorab ended up being the one to shoot out Asaph's eye.
Okay, that's almost 15 minutes. Should we stop it and then make another one?
Yeah.